would you be interested in other credit enhancements? I want to first of all say that I think there are occasionally loans that, for whatever reason, don't fit easily in SBA eligibility criteria, or the borrower doesn't have the correct acceptable credit profile. This program might be one that you would want to look at for those that don't fit in SBA lending. And there are a couple of examples in particular that might be suitable. The two that I'm thinking of are interim financing on 504 loans. During that period, when you have a contingent takeout for a 504 deal, the senior lender typically is taking on 90% loan to value for that short time period until the SBA debenture takes out that. And this credit enhancement program may be a good way to bring down that LTV. And I think that some credit officers would be very happy to have that extra protection during the interim financing period. And the second example is that this program is eligible to credit enhance loans to nonprofit organizations. So I think many nonprofits run business-like operations. I'm thinking of daycare centers or health clinics or even other local YMCAs and others that are local, not part of the national organization in the same corporate setting. They're not part of what I mean is they're not part of the national YMCA. They are a local YMCA. That could be an eligible loan as well. So there are cases where this credit enhancement can be a very nice complement to what's available through the SBA program. So now let me tell you how this program works at the federal level, and then what you really need to understand is how the program works in each individual state. So the SSBCI program was created in September 2010 as part of the Small Business Jobs Act. It's the same legislation that really enhanced funding to the SBA. And this program provided a one-time, essentially block grants to state agencies. And the total amount is $1.5 billion. And the money remains at the state level in perpetuity. So this funding, ideally, will continue to recycle and revolve, offset by any losses that might occur on these portfolio of loans. And the key attributes of the program are that each transaction must have at least 20% lender capital at risk. And the program, by the end, the state program, must aim to achieve 10-to-1 leverage by the program's termination, which is in 2016. So how does a state achieve 10-to-1 leverage, you might ask, if lender capital at risk can be as low as 20%? And the answer is by revolving during the time period, and also by the additional financing that might be attracted to those businesses as a result of the credit enhancement that this program provides. Interestingly, this program does not mandate any single or uniform design for credit enhancement. And so what you're going to hear in another slide or two is about the different structures that are available. Some states operate loan guarantee programs, for example. Other states will post cash collateral for partial cash collateral for individual loans. And other states even use this funding to become investors in privately run venture capital programs. So there's a variety of program designs. That's the advantage of it. But the disadvantage is that each state has its own designed its own program, and they have different rules. And for that reason, I passed out to you the list of all the states, how much money they receive, and the type of program that they run. And that list I passed out also has the phone number and the web address for the state agency that received this funding. So where did the money go? This chart shows the awards. The dark blue are states that received more than $45 million. And the bar chart on the bottom shows each state and the amount they received. More than half the states received the guaranteed minimum of just over $13 million. But you can see the largest state, California, received $168 million. The formula for deciding how much was allocated to each state was written by our friends in Congress. So we did not have a selection. We did not have any role in determining the amount that went to each state. And the formula was based on the number of job losses that occurred in that state during the depths of the recession in 08 and 09. So states that had high population and severe economic distress received the largest amount of funding. Okay, so what types of programs are eligible? They fall into these two categories: capital access programs, and then an awkward sounding program, which is called other. Other credit support programs, and it's these bullet pointed programs that are eligible. Capital access programs you might be familiar with. Up until this program, CAP programs were funded only by state appropriations, and they work on a pretty simple and standard model in which the bank and the borrower contribute to a reserve fund, and the state matches that reserve fund. The reserve fund is held at each lender, and so the more loans that a lender makes, the larger that reserve builds up, and it provides loss coverage from the very first dollar. So this is a very appealing program for lenders who originate a large volume of relatively smaller loans, and that way the reserve builds up quickly. If there's ever a loss, that can be recovered from the very first dollar against the funded reserve that each lender holds. So this provides maybe another difference than guaranteed lending. In guaranteed lending, the lender usually shares pari passu in losses. Under the CAP program, the lender recovers from the very first dollar. But once the funded reserve is exhausted, the lender bears that exposure. The other programs, I think, are easy to understand. Loan participation programs are those where the state purchases a fraction of the loan directly from the lender. The lender maintains all the customer relationship and shares the pro rata share of the earnings with the state for the portion that the state purchased. Loan guarantee programs are self-evident. Collateral support programs are those in which the state places a cash deposit with the lender to partially collateralize the loan. And that can be very effective where LTVs in real estate or equipment have fallen as a result of the recession, but the borrower still has good ability to repay, but is suffering because their secondary source of repayment has declined in value. The collateral support can help offset that collateral shortfall. And lastly, I mentioned there are a number of states that invest in privately run venture capital programs. This chart gives you an idea of how the money was requested by states across the different program types. So looking at the bottom, you can see loan participation programs received $437 million, and as of June 30, the program had been active in states only about 6 to 9 months as of June 30. As of that cutoff date in loan participation, 72 million had been used. That doesn't mean, and that, as I said, that 72 million could recycle, so it would continue to be used. So you can see it's early days in the program, and there is ample amount of money in the hands of state agencies that's waiting for lenders to take advantage of it. Last slide. This is to tell you, give you